Minecraft is a mysterious game with a surplus of lore, and because of that, the internet is crawling with various theories. And while some of these theories can be debunked with logic or facts, there are some of them that are just too good to ignore. So I've compiled them all into an iceberg chart, and in this video we're going to go through every single one of them. Starting at the tip of the iceberg. Endermites are silverfish. This theory states that back when the end portal was activated, silverfish went through it and entered the end. In the end, a chorus fruit-only diet eventually turned them into endermites. And since endermen eat endermites, it makes sense that when you get an ender pearl from an enderman, that there'd still be an endermite inside. We'll talk more about chorus fruit mutation later in the video. The missing golem theory. If you look at the golems we currently have in Minecraft, you'll see that we have the iron golem that requires 4 blocks plus a pumpkin, the snow golem which requires 2 blocks plus a pumpkin, and the copper golem which requires 1 block plus a pumpkin. But why is there no golem with 3 blocks and a pumpkin? Maybe Mojang's saving this feature for a future update. The chicken spy theory. When you have bad omen and you enter a village, the pillagers come and attack you. But how do they know which village you're at? Well, there's a theory that chickens are spying on you. In the Minecraft Mob Bestiary, which is a very useful book for Minecraft's lore, there's a page talking about chickens. On this page, it hints at chickens potentially being spies. But we can take this a step further and theorize that the pillagers are using the chickens to spy on you along with other mobs. You see, in the woodland mansions, there are giant wool statues of various mobs. Why would you build these statues without a reason? You see, the theory goes that they built these statues so that they can look through the eyes of certain mobs like chickens. That way they always know where the player is, which is also how they send pillager patrols to you. Now we're moving deeper down the iceberg chart into shallow waters. There's a theory that states that the igloos we find in our Minecraft world are made by wandering traders. First of all, if you look at the 50% of igloos that have a basement underneath them, you'll find a villager and a zombie villager inside. Now in Java Edition, this villager doesn't have any biome variant, which means that this villager has to have been imported from another biome. There's also a potted cactus, which means whoever built this place must have been to a desert, along with all the ingredients to make a weakness potion, which is a surplus of supplies. And wandering traders are the only mobs we know of that have been to all these places. After all, they do sell objects from these locations, and you'd think they'd at least have some home to stop by. Mobs having secret powers. What if I told you that Minecraft mobs had some secret abilities that they're not telling us about? For starters, Elder Guardian's mining fatigue. While this seems like another standard magic thing like potions or enchantments, that's not what's going on here. The Elder Guardian projects a ghostly vision in front of you that no one else can see, and that's what inflicts you with mining fatigue. But the biggest part is that they don't need to shoot a laser at you, they don't need to splash a potion on you, they don't even have to look at you. They can just do this from any location as long as it's within their range. And applying a status effect to a player without even locking onto them, along with being able to project a vision in front of them, is something that no other mob in the entire game can do. Not to mention that if you help an axolotl in combat, they'll give you the regeneration effect for a few seconds and an advancement. And while on the surface this just seems like a weird quirk of Minecraft, how is it doing this? How can it project a status effect onto you without even touching you? There's definitely something weird going on here, so comment your theories down below. The space bedwars theory. This theory states that bedwars is actually a post-apocalyptic world, a Minecraft planet that blew up shooting shrapnel into space. This shrapnel is the Bedwars Islands, and all the players on it are survivors from the explosion. Now there's very limited resources out here in space with nothing but a bunch of floating islands. So players try and lower the population by destroying people's beds and then destroying them, causing them to respawn back at spawn, aka in space where the planet used to be. The less players there are, the more resources are left for the victorious survivors. Now we're entering fairly deep waters as we dive into the next theory. The illagers are infected villagers. This theory says that the villagers moved into one of the roofed forests and started experimenting with various things. Unfortunately, they created some kind of infection that got out infecting the forest. Little did they know that before long it would infect them as well, turning them into the illagers we see today. However, they still fear the corruption that changed their lives generations ago, which is why they run from the creaking. The Enderman evolution theory. This theory suggests that some event related to the Wither or the Warden forced players underground to build strongholds. These ancient players eventually figured out how to get to the end, hoping that they could escape there. Although what they weren't expecting is that it would be a one-way trip. Living in the end, eating only chorus fruit corrupted them into the Endermen we know today, similar to what happened to the silverfish. This also explains why Endermen are the only mobs in the game that show up in all 3 dimensions and can break and place blocks, not to mention the fact that they can literally speak to you. Listen to these sound clips. I bet you'll never be able to hear those the same way again. The evolution of respawning theory. What if I told you that zombies and skeletons were just players that evolved differently than us? While I don't believe in evolution in real life, there's lots of evidence for it in Minecraft, so I think that players had to have evolved the ability to respawn at one point, right? However, earlier generations wouldn't have been able to respawn entirely. Maybe some of the first respawners could only maintain their skeletal structure. Later generations could then maintain flesh until finally we reach the player that can respawn with their entire body. However, we're not even fully evolved because we lose a little bit of XP every time we die. So who knows, maybe our future descendants will be able to respawn with all their XP. Now we're getting to the very bottom tip of the iceberg, and the theories are only getting darker and crazier. Wardens are axolotls. Wardens and axolotls are much more similar than most people think. They both have little to no eyesight, they both live in caves, they both have weird wiggly things on their head, and one of the craziest things of all is that if you take this concept art for axolotls and wardens and invert the colors, the wardens have axolotl colors. And if you do the same thing for the actual warden, the only thing that isn't some kind of axolotl color are the bones in the arm, and this blue color is fairly reminiscent to the blue axolotl. This theory states that wardens are actually a clump of axolotls bound together by skulk, and in the warden's chest you can see the faces of the axolotls who met this terrible fate. And if that's not proof enough, axolotls are the only mob in the game that wardens will not attack under any circumstances. Think about that for a second. The Orb of Dominance survival theory. What if I told you that the Orb of Dominance from Minecraft Dungeons actually survived? And that this isn't even a theory, it's just 100% true. There's lots of evidence for this, and if you want more, I made an entire video on this theory, so go watch that. But one of the biggest proofs for this theory is that in the Rise of the Arch-Illager novel, which has been confirmed to be canon by the way, the redstone golems in Minecraft Dungeons are described to be like statues, completely inanimate unless they're being controlled by the Orb of Dominance. And in the cutscene at the very end of the game, we see a redstone golems walking around. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be after the Orb of Dominance was completely destroyed, so it looks like we missed a shard or two, and the Orb of Dominance is still out there. The Minecraft multiverse theory. What if every Minecraft game, world, and dimension were all the same thing, all of them being parallel universes of one another? Different events happening in these different universes cause them to look differently, evolve differently, and even physics to behave differently. Again, if you need more data on this, I've made several videos on the topic that I'd highly recommend watching. Now we're entering the deepest, darkest of waters, beyond the iceberg itself. Here, only the biggest, most important, and most mysterious Minecraft theories reside. Starting with the dead sun theory. This theory uses astronomy and astrophysics to prove that Minecraft doesn't take place on a planet, but a star. You see, if Minecraft was a planet, you'd expect the moon to orbit it in a different way than the sun. However, the moon and the sun orbit exactly the same, just opposite to each other. But for some reason, the stars actually move with the sun and the moon, which is very strange. So the way that you explain this is that the sun and the moon are both orbiting the Earth just like how we used to think it happened. If we were on a planet, it wouldn't have nearly enough gravity to make a star orbit, so what's going on here? Well, you see, when a star goes supernova and explodes, it eventually compresses into some impossibly dense matter. So this theory states that the civilization of Minecraft players living on Earth saw that the star that they called the sun was going to die very soon. So after the star went supernova and turned into a gigantic, impossibly dense piece of mass, they used nether portals to travel to it, importing things like stone, dirt, deep slate, and other blocks. Until finally they blew up their old planet, causing massive amounts of lava and heat to be sustained on the surface, similar to the way a star does. This essentially made their sun the new planet and their Earth the new sun. And while this is one of the greatest Minecraft theories I've ever heard, it's the only one on the list with a glaring flaw. Because you see, there's something about Minecraft gravity that you should know. It doesn't exist. So now we go on to the biggest Minecraft theory on the entire list. In the deepest, darkest waters of the sea. This theory explains the origins of the End dimension, the survival of the Orb of Dominance, the creation of the Enderman and every end-like being in Minecraft Dungeons. Unfortunately, this theory takes an entire video to explain. Man, it sure would be great if someone made a video about it. That's right, you can go watch the video right here. I hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.